Hello. This is another vlog. Things are going good with my car. I took it into the shop and they changed the oil. They checked some things. They checked the fluids. They said I need two new belts. Um, they said that there's oil dripping into the plug wells or leaking into it, which I thought was weird because that was happening before. And I was like, well, I took that in to get worked on, not that long ago, like 6 months ago. And I took it in for that reason. And I got the head gasket changed. So, yeah, the guy at this shop said that, well, somebody didn't do their job correctly. And I agree because they last mechanic didn't plug two things back into the engine and it was making the engine, or it was making the car not start correctly. Like, it was hard to start it. And it's like, that guy did not do a very thorough job. He did something wrong because still something's going on there. But I would say things are going good with my car just because the fact that it's running. Um, Whatever amount of oil is leaking into the plug wells is probably a small amount, smaller than it used to be. So hopefully it'll just not be too bad for a while, and I could get that done in the future again. Um, the head gasket change, so yeah, and the belts. But yeah, I got new windshield wipers for my car yesterday, and it kind of felt nice because I was using like streaky ones or ones that weren't connecting properly for the longest time. And I got them on sale at Walmart. Walmart had them for really cheap too. It was $20 for two. I live in Canada, so that's a good price for here. And it was like the Rain-X weather beater ones. Anyways, they work good, and it's gonna be winter soon, so hopefully they hold up in the cold. But I looked online and said they would. And yeah, it was kind of depressing and demoralizing yesterday. Although I'm used to it, to walk into Popeye's Chicken because I went there to get some chicken tenders were 2 for 1 for $5 or five chicken tenders, 2 for 1 for like 16.99 or something, and it was all East Indians in there working. It was like a bunch of East Indian girls up at the front, and then a bunch of East Indian guys in the back doing the work or doing the cooking, and then there was like East Indian uh, skip or Uber drivers waiting for orders, and there's like some boomers, or maybe they were even Gen X, but look like, gray hair or waiting around or sitting there to order. Like, I don't know, this country's effed up. This country's done for demographically. Um, so yeah, it's just too bad about Canada. I mean, it was our own country, our own government sold us out, and the people voted for it. The men let it happen. So that's what it is, really. The women completely turned liberal, like psychotic far left liberal. The men completely cucked men, let it happen, and it's just like greed ate out the country, and now it's just waves and waves of foreigners. There's no white people having children anymore. The birth rate's like so low. 42% of births are to foreign-born mothers. So this country's just effed. I mean, that's really all you could really say about it. Um, yeah, this country's not looking good. And the way it is like it's like compared to um, how it used to be. Like 20 years ago, things were way better. But we let our like optimism get away from us, or get the better of us or something, because it turned into greed. And it's just like the dissatisfaction or whatever it was, just, and the the whatever feelings about the future or something. It just got away from everybody because it just turned into greed. It turned into trading everything that was good about the culture, about the country, about the what was going on. It all got traded for um, basically like greed and clinging on to stuff, and now it's just all like, yeah, it's just the country's screwed. Um, so anyway, yeah, and Walmart was not any better, by the way. It's all like East Indians, Asians, and then there's like a few whites, but all the whites, they all kind of seem like, I don't know, disillusioned or maybe in a different world or something. Um, yeah. So, uh, I feel I felt kind of low energy today. Like I felt good in the morning when I woke up, but then I started to feel low energy, and yeah, I'm just struggling with loneliness and self-image. Like I wish I had you know, I wish I was able to connect with more people. That's the best way I could put it, but have more of a friend group, or be able to talk to people, or be able to do shared activities and stuff with people. And it's very hard to do that. The technology has sort of isolated a lot of people, I think. I'm pretty isolated, and yeah, it's not a good thing. Um, but uh, for my self-image, um, I guess it's been improving a little bit because I've been watching vlogs of myself. Like, I make these vlogs, and I actually watched some back that were just kind of like um, on my storage that I hadn't published or anything, because I was trying to, free up space and get rid of them or publish them or whatever, just to archive them. And I was actually able to watch them. Is something I kind of put off because I'm just kind of like embarrassed to see myself. Which I know it sounds weird, but it's like, um, if you see yourself, like that's like you know, something that can be embarrassing, because if you see yourself when you're talking about stuff, or if you're putting yourself out there or trying to work through an issue or something, uh, sometimes you don't even want to hear yourself talk, like especially if you have a bad self-image, low self-esteem, whatever. So what happens with like social media and everything, and even presenting yourself to the world, social media amplified it, but it's like we care a lot about our reputation, we care a lot about how we look, we care a lot about how we sound, right? We want admiration, we want people to see us a certain way that we want to be seen, essentially. And it can be painful, and it can hurt to see yourself when you're at your lowest and stuff. And I made some pretty rough vlogs, which I don't even think I will publish publicly. I think I'll just put them in a private, upload them, and they can be there. But um, it can be really hard, like, because it can be embarrassing. Is the essential, is the main point. It can feel embarrassing or shameful, right? So that's why. And but I actually watched some of them back, so that was good. And I think that the hyper individuality message in the West, in the Western world, in Canada, and all the Western countries, Europe, USA, whatever, there's kind of a message about hyper individuality, where everything is kind of placed onto the individual. It's placed squarely onto the individual's shoulders. People are atomized, they're set apart. They're set apart against each other. There's extreme competition. There's all these things going on that work against people's individuality to kind of make them very competitive, make them very insecure, make them feel very hyper unique. And then that always clashes with the real world messages that people are getting all the time. When they go out into the real world, and there's like a million scammers out there, and there's like you know, not any kind of standard that you can understand when you go out into the world, where some people get praised and lauded just because they are a woman or a minority or whatever, and then depending on who you are, if you're like a white man or something, you get all these messages like you are the problem. So it kind of really screws with people's identity, I would say, the hyper individuality message. Because everyone feels like they have to be so impressive, I think, too, which is tough, right? When really what we want is just to be in harmony, right? We want to be part of a group, our group. I'm not saying just like some message about like diversity and whatever, and you have like a someone who's got like a turban, and someone who's like in a wheelchair, and someone who's like an Asian woman, and someone who's like I don't know, like an indigenous guy. I'm not talking about that kind of harmony, like the DEI kind of woke harmony. I'm talking about people actually feel in harmony when they're with their group, when they're part of something, when they're able to sort of say what they want to say. And this hyper individuality stuff, it's just kind of screwed people really badly, I think. Some people seem to really flourish in it. The people who are able to work it very well, people who are selling stuff, people who are like famous YouTubers, streamers, people who are able to somehow harness this message and profit off of it, or thrive in it. But I honestly think that goes contrary to human nature, because are you supposed to have everyone do that? And it really doesn't make sense at all about like this whole positive attitude thing. My mom told me this. She said she was watching a video about some woman who was like, it was a crime show, and some woman had a crime committed against her, and she seemed to really come through it because she had a positive attitude. And I was like, give me a break. Like, I hate that positive attitude message, because it's so vapid, it's so vacuous, it could kind of mean anything, and it's meant to appeal to like the most people possible, right? Because that's kind of like the hyper individuality message, is just like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, work hard, and keep grinding, lock in, have a positive attitude, mindset. It kind of gets sickening, because it's so fake, really. And it's like, well, what if you acknowledge reality that, the country is really going down the tubes, the Western civilization is declining, Jews own everything. There is a racial disparity in IQ. The average IQ in West Africa is 65. Like, what about gender differences, sex differences? Like, um, men are stronger on average than women. Asians are shorter on average than, um, you know, uh, Europeans. Like, when you acknowledge reality, does that make you have a negative attitude? You know what I mean? Like, so it's just so vapid, so vacuous, could mean anything. It's kind of just like, yeah, I just have a positive attitude. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Good. How are you? It's like, oh, you know what I mean? And if you work in a company or whatever, it literally is like that, where everybody's kind of using it in a weaponized fashion. It's like preemptive. That's how passive aggressive it is. It's like preemptive positivity. Because people use it, uh, this so called positive attitude, in order to protect themselves, essentially. Um, And I was telling my mom, like, I've heard this positive attitude thing like 1,000 effing times and I'm kind of sick of it, because it's like, you know, where does the positivity come from? It comes from God. And they don't want to acknowledge, nobody wants to acknowledge that, right? They want to keep it like secular. It's just like, oh, positivity. It just, you can just basically max out your positivity. And okay, then what? Are you just going to be positive your entire life, and then is that it? Like, I don't really understand what the whole point of that is. It's like, and their kind of like circular loop is like, well, positivity is good, and it's good to be positive, and it's like, okay, I kind of get it, but where does that come from? What's the, how does that deal with broader issues? And it's really crazy. So I don't like just the the blank, or the be all end all message of like, have a positive attitude, have a positive mindset. So yeah, it's kind of weird. None of it acknowledges spirituality, because they want it to be like an inclusive populism message, a hyper individuality message, and it's gross. It can turn gross if that's the only thing that people focus on, because life is not really like that. Yeah, so it's just nasty. Um, okay, so loneliness. Yeah, I feel pretty lonely. And loneliness is like the hardest thing, one of the hardest things, really hard. Um, and for me, loneliness is kind of like, sharing. It's like, I feel like the cycle for me is like, I share myself, I get hurt, or I'll freak out on whoever I'm like close with, or like do something that's wrong. Like, I always feel like I'm on the edge of doing something that's gonna push people away, and so that's like, things will not work. Things don't work out the way I exactly want them to, and the reason for this is because I have what they call anxious avoidant attachment style. Um, I also hold a lot of controversial views, obviously, but the thing about it though is that I kind of have this. Along with that, I have this anxious avoidant attachment style. So it means like, if you're anxious, you want people to be closer to you, than, uh, you feel like people are not as close to you as you want them to be. That's anxiety. That's an anxious attachment style. Attachment style is talking about how you relate to other people. So if you're anxious, you actually want people to be closer to you than they are. You don't feel like comfortable until they're closer to you. And then, An avoidance style is like you people are too close. You know what I mean? Keep your distance. I want to be this distance away. I want to say these words that only reveal so much, and that's what I'm comfortable with. So that's avoidant, right? Um, Anything conflictual or conflict, you like you push it away, and that would be avoidant. Anxious avoidant is a combination of the two. You want people to be close, but not that close. You want people to be pushed away, but you don't want them that far away. So it's really it's like an internal conflict, and it's very painful. It's very uncomfortable. It's like it hurts basically to have that kind of a attachment style on an emotional or on a social or on a relational level. It's painful. Okay, it doesn't feel good because you don't feel relaxed in someone's company. Like that would be more like secure attachment style. You feel relaxed. You feel like you can say stuff. You feel like you can hang out. You feel like see you later. Okay, see you next time. And then you're like, hey, I'll call up my friend Joe, and you call him up and be like, hey, you want to hang out? And Joe might say yes, he might say no, and that's okay. And you can, go do something else or call someone else, and that's kind of more secure, right? That would be more of a secure style. Whereas an anxious style, it would be like, oh man, I really wish I could call my friend Joe, but I don't know if now is a good time. I think like he might be doing stuff. He might get mad at me. He might, usually he's busy this time of day. Uh, you know what? He could be doing something, and maybe I'll pick up the phone and call him, or maybe I'll just text him. I'll just kind of say like, how's it going? Or I'll say like, hi, how are you? Or I'll talk about, yesterday I went and bought something, and then you're like, oh, but that's kind of sounds weird, and that would be more like anxiety, right? It's this wanting to be close, not really able uh, to do it in a secure fashion, in a relaxed fashion, in a something like that. So anyway, the reason for all of that is my trauma list. So I have all these different trauma things that have happened to me, traumatic events that happened to me when I was a kid, and I wrote it all down, and I've been sharing it with my therapist. But I'll read some of them here, just because I think it's good to go over this stuff again and again and again and again and again. And the reason I actually say that is because there's an emotional punch that goes along with a traumatic event that happened to you. So what I mean by that is that if something traumatic happens to you, and you will know it's traumatic, you will know it's something traumatic or uh, had a big impact on you because of the reaction and the emotional punch. Like if you start to talk about it, or if somebody starts to talk about something that sounds similar or whatever, your body will go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, meaning that you will feel like in pain, like emotionally, like you might cry, you might want to run away, you might get angry, you might even start to like go out of your body, like that's a fawn. You might feel frozen, like you can't say anything. Um, and that's what you know what's going on with PTSD or CPTSD. Like I have complex PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. So anyways, so these things are also called ACEs, adverse childhood events, but the summary of it, first off, before I list them all, because I'll list them here, is that I was the youngest child of a low socioeconomic status, chaotic single parent home environment, um, characterized by yelling, fighting, physical abuse, neglect, and escapism. So basically, yeah, it was just like um, my dad beat up my mom, and then or he used to, and so it was abusive, and then it was constant fighting, and it was chaotic. Nothing was stable. Very uh, unstable home environment, um, and yeah, that's kind of how it was, and yeah, so and my mom never really dealt with her issues properly, so I was sort of like an afterthought. I was sort of just like kind of never really treated properly with love and care and attention or anything like that. So uh, yeah, so that's what leads to anxious avoidant attachment style. And yeah, so when I was age 5, I was severely traumatized by my mom talking to me about sex, and I felt like it was extremely frightening. I don't know exactly why it was so frightening, but she took me into the basement. We had this creepy basement. She took me into like the bathroom, and then uh, I think it was because I was picking up on how uh, she was talking about it, and she was like freaking me out basically as a kid, and I was so scared. And by the way, your parent is supposed to be your safety, your attachment figure of your safety, so that you feel good with your parent. That's how things are normally supposed to be. Like when something bad happens, you're supposed to be able to your natural response is to go to your parent, to cry, to seek comfort, right? That's why babies cry. And the parent, especially the mother, is supposed to soothe the child. Well, my mom, she scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. And so she was telling me about sex, trying to explain it to me, and it just scared the crap out of me. And then I got sexually abused by the older neighborhood kid, when I was 5, and I think he was like probably 9, 10, or 11. So he was older, and then I don't exactly remember what happened. I don't think it was like so severe. I just remember I think he got me to pull down my pants or something. It's embarrassing. I'm sorry if it's triggering. This is what happened to me. Um, and I don't really remember much more than that. And then I remember I went home, and I was like scared, and I tried to tell my mom about it, but she wasn't. She didn't help me. She just kind of ignored it, and so um, uh, so it was it was it was it was tough to deal with that by myself, and I don't even know how I dealt with it. When you're a kid, I think you have not many options. You, like I said, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Those are sort of the bare bones, stripped down options of children, right? So of people, and emotions come up too. They're part of it, right? And emotions are natural. They're normal. Um, and I guess I was taught that you're not allowed to really show your emotions. You're not, or at least that you wouldn't get help if you did. You know. Um, just in general, it was kind of that was modeled. That was what happened to me. Um, you just kind of get made fun of essentially, or neglected. Um, so I was kind of taught like emotions are bad, and actually I saw this really useful picture when I was going through my psychology degree, and it was just sort of like I'll just describe it. It was like children have all these emotions, a natural array, and sometimes if their parents are not emotionally healthy, their parents can only see or deal with certain emotions. Maybe their parents can only deal with happy, or they can only deal with angry, but they can't deal with sad. They can't deal with grief. They can't deal with confusion. They can't deal with shame or embarrassment. And so the parent will just not allow those other things and only allow happy and only allow sad or angry or something, but they won't allow the other ones. Not sad, I meant to say angry and happy or whatever. It could change, but which ones the parent will be able to deal with, right? Based on their own, you could say emotional intelligence. I don't really love that term, but you could say just their own profile of emotional health, what they can deal with, right? And the thing about it, though, is that emotions, they're like a wave, basically. So, everything is vibrating. Everything is, in some sense, a wave. Very deep, on a very deep level. But a positive emotion, quote unquote positive, like happiness, let's say, that's at like the top of the wave. And it can't sustain forever because it's not really natural, right? A wave will go down as well, and it depends on what happens out in the world and what we experience. But if you only allow the happy and you don't allow it to go down, you get like a flat line, like the wave will just like flatline. It can lead to like depression. It can lead to like just feeling numb. So yeah, all this to say that people sort of need their range of emotions, and they will be natural and normal and level out. Like, there'll be a stability there over time. So anyways, at age 5, I had uncontrolled computer access. So I discovered hardcore porn by accident. And I felt a huge shame and confusion, and I have had a lifelong addiction and intimacy issues. So like 25 years basically of porn and masturbation and shame and seeking out sexual relationships and not being able to really feel anything intimate around partners, people, women. Nothing homosexual, but although I did experiment watching some of like homosexual porn when I was younger. I know it's so embarrassing, but when you're really young, and you're on the internet, you're just kind of like seeing everything. So yeah, and it's just like it's confusing, and it's like it doesn't feel good. Let's say it that way, because it's like on like some level it feels good, like on like a physical level maybe, like because of like physical stimulation, and then you're seeing something, and then it somehow stimulates your body's like sexual system or whatever, and it kind of feels good. But on a different level, like emotional level, it doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? And so you kind of block that out, and you just keep going back to porn, and that's called a process addiction. And actually, porn addiction is like it's a form of self-soothing for a lot of people, or can turn into that. And it's like, when I feel bad, I have porn to watch. When something doesn't work out for me, I have porn to watch. When I'm bored, I have porn to watch. So it's like you're constantly trying to soothe yourself, regulate your nervous system, feel good, just through pornography. And it has really bad effects on your body, on your mind, on your spirit. So yeah, porn is not good. And It's crazy how many people like try and justify porn too, but it's not good. It just isn't. So, anyways, when I was 5, we had this computer, and then at school, I went to the school computer class, and they had this game. It was called Number Munchers, and then there was another one called Super Munchers. And it was like this little game where you would move this little froggy around on a grid to munch on the correct number, and at the top of the screen would be like a formula like 5 times 5 equals, and then it would be question mark, and then you'd have to jump the froggy to 25 and you'd munch the number, and then it'd pop up another question. So it's like Number Munchers, and it was like this really fun game. And I remember you would try and do this and get to new levels, and then there'd be like, if you got high enough to the higher level, you would get like an animation, and it's like everybody wanted to get to the higher levels, you know. And so I went home, and I was 5, and I went on our family computer, and I tried looking up Super Munchers. Now this was the year 2000, so the internet was, I wouldn't say new, but it was still pretty new. It was like, to a lot of people, it was very new. And actually, it was like the Wild West, and it was evolving. And so, and actually, a lot of people think of this as more like the golden age of the internet was in the 90s, 2000s or whatever. And then the internet went totally to shit in the last like 10 years. Because it got gamed so hard. It got figured out so hard. And then, so in the year 2000, I went and tried to look it up, 5 years old, and what popped up was a hardcore porn site on the first link. And I remember this. And so now Google has tried to change it a bit, you know, having safe search and all this. We didn't have that when I was 5. And I clicked on this thing, and then popped up was a ton of hardcore porn. And so, you know, this was just like a lifelong shame and addiction. So it's really horrible. I mean, I don't know how to state it accurately, and I know I'm probably not doing a very good justice to it, but yeah, it is horrible, and it really affects people's lives negatively. And the thing is, it's so widespread, and yet you don't really hear about it. It's like 95% of men watch porn, and then a certain percentage of that will get really addicted to it. And then it's something like 30%, or maybe like a little more, of women who consume pornography, but women more go toward written pornography. Because actually there's a difference between men and women, where men are more visual, women are more story-based. Women prefer a story. Men just prefer to really see something like, yeah. So anyway, so that's like a huge issue. It's a huge issue. Sexuality is, if it's damaged, it can be really, really painful, and it can cause people to be stuck for a long time, because it messes with your relationality with other people, and it causes huge shame too if it's messed with. You know, like blaming yourself and stuff. So, yeah. And I would say that what contributes to it too is just the fact that it's so hard to talk about with people, especially in my own family. Like, I don't even really want to talk about it with my own family, like, at all. And, yeah, it just feels so embarrassing, you know what I mean? And, yeah. So, yeah, it's really tough, because like, who was supposed to, like, how was it supposed to be healthy? Who was supposed to talk to me about sex? Like, how was there supposed to be anything healthy in there? Like, I don't even really know, you know? I'm not even really sure. So, but I do know that the way it went was not healthy. Okay, so age 5 to 7. My older sister, she used to, she's like 2 years older than me, and and her friend used to pinch me until I bled and screamed. And it was just like really mean. Like, she had this friend that would come over, And I was always like, I was a kid, so I was always trying to be a part of things, join in on things. Um, I looked up to my older sister, my older brother, my other older sister, my family, and I kind of had this view of them, uh, and this normal wanting to be a part of things. And my older sister, they all just like treated me like very badly. They tried to push me away. They didn't want me there. They, treated me like I was stupid, like didn't care about my interests, didn't want to whatever. Although at some points me and my sister did play and stuff, and we did do stuff together, and I won't say it was all bad, but I will say that she was really mean at times. And so she used to pinch me until I would bleed, and I was like screaming. And her friend, I think her friend would do that too, and it was just so mean. And then my mom, when I was 6 or 7, she smacked me when I was pestering her while she was cooking, and I can kind of almost understand this because I've done this to um, my cat, where he kept jumping up on the counter and trying to eat the food I was cooking when he was young because I got this kitten. I still have him. He's a nice cat, but after like the 20th time, I don't know if it was actually 20, it might have been like 10 or something, but it was a lot of times I would take him off the counter. I was like trying to deal with this so much, and I actually just snapped at him and I was like mean to him. Um, and I feel really bad about it, but when I was a kid, I would pester my mom because I wanted attention or I was bored or something. And then she just like smacked me really hard when I was a kid. I was 6 or 7, something like that. And actually, I don't think you should hit your kids. Um, so yeah, I don't know. That's a good question about the hit your kids thing. Obviously, no one thinks it's a good idea to hit your kids. Um, but I think when old people were young or boomers or whatever, and then their parents maybe, they have tons of stories about they used to get the paddle, they used to get the belt, they used to get this, that. Nowadays, it's like people will freak the F out because no one wants to get reported to um, social services or the police. But yeah, people used to do that stuff. And I actually don't think that's a good idea to hit your children. I just think that there needs to be discipline, but I don't know exactly what's the correct or perfect way of doing it. So anyway, um, okay, so when I was 7 or 8, I got punched in the head and knocked unconscious while I was on the school playground with my friends, and it was by some older kids who were maybe either just teenagers in the area or they were gang members because it just didn't make sense because they hit me so hard in the head that I was actually knocked unconscious, and they hit me with something probably because I had this huge welt on my head. And again, I was like a 7 or 8 year old kid, and we were play wrestling after school in the school playground. So this is how bad the area I lived in was. And that's crazy. Like that's so crazy. Like yeah, that's not good at all. And um head trauma really messes people up too. Like it's no joke. Um and then so I remember going to the hospital and the police interviewing me and shining like a flashlight in my eyes and stuff, but yeah. So that happened, and then when I was 7 or 8, my mom would use me as a some sort of like a child therapist or emotional support, and she would just lay on the couch and talk at length for hours about her memories of anxiety, of erratic behavior, of her relationships, of how like stuff went in her life. And that's sick. Like that's sick and twisted because if someone really needs to express um their life, which is normal, and if they've had undergone trauma, if they've undergone relationship issues, if they've undergone anxiety, if they've undergone whatever it is, there are actually appropriate people in life to tell that to, and that would be like a therapist, clergy, a friend you trust, um, a social worker, or go online, make a vlog like I'm doing. Don't use children. That's sick. But that's what my mom did to me. And so it was really sick and it was twisted. And it was like, when you do that to a child, what you're doing is you're giving them unsolvable problems. Because um, children, they actually care about their parents, and they actually care about the things going on, right? And their family is really like kind of like their whole life, and they have curiosities and stuff, and they go out and explore, but they always come back, because that's how attachment works. Is that there's supposed to be a secure base. You go out and explore, you come back, right? If you ever watch children playing or whatever, they kind of like look around for their mom, and they want that security and whatever. But a securely attached child will just be immersed in an activity, while an anxious child will always be looking back at the attachment figure who is there, or authority figure or whatever, because they feel afraid, right? They don't feel comfortable. They don't feel in a relaxed state. So anyways, my mom would use me as this type of child therapist, and these were unsolvable problems for a 7 or 8 year old. And actually, I've worked with kids, and I've heard kids say to me similar things about like they're trying to figure out like world problems, uh, and I'm like, you don't even need to know this. You as a child are doing great. Um, uh, just keep focusing on going to school, do your homework, play with your friends. That's awesome. You're doing good there. Like, keep it up. You don't even need to worry about these grown-up problems. Grown-ups can worry about that. Since there's big problems that takes many grown-ups to work on them, and kids don't have to worry about it. Everything's going good for kids, right? So yeah, when a child tells you about water rights, and how there's disputes between the local government and the indigenous government, like here in Canada and stuff, it's like, kids don't need to know about that. When you see children at protests, the kids don't know shit. They don't know shit about the broader issues that are a part of that. They just kind of get fed something and they go with it because they want attention. They want to fit in. Their parents are there. The kids don't understand, right? They don't understand. So it's really messed up. And the thing is, and this characterizes parentification, which I experienced, and anxious avoidant attachment style, is that I want my mom to be okay so that I can feel okay. And it's still going on, because she lives, she's homeless still. Like, she's still never figured out her life. She's 67, she's homeless, and I was giving her a place to stay. And, now she's going to go do house sitting, and she'll come back. And then she'll go do house sitting again. And it's just like a fucking unsolvable problem, because I'm like, this is so messed up. Like, it's just such a pit. It's such a difficult thing, and the roles are also fucked, because, and I tell her this now. I'm like, the roles are incorrect. You're supposed to be the parent. I'm not supposed to be the parent. I'm supposed to be the child. I'm not supposed to provide you with security and stability and shelter. Like, that's wrong. You know what I mean? That's incorrect. I'm not supposed to provide you with these things, like on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And there's such a strong delusion there. She doesn't understand it, right? And I really don't want to be the one to figure out my family's fucked upness and trauma and everything, and then sit there and therapist them to feel good. It's like, that's wrong. So I just tell her, like, you have to pray. You have to ask for help from God, like, I can't do all this. Like that's insane. You know, I can help people. I can talk to people and whatever, but when they're your own family, that's messed up. Like there's got to be some type of a hierarchy and a correctness in a family unit, and that's not it. You know what I mean? Like if she had been a stable mother when I was growing up, and then I got older, and then she fell on hard times, of course I would take her in, just as I take her in now, uh, even though she didn't do all that. So yeah, some people are insane and they just think that anything goes and they have suicidal empathy. It's like, you know what? No. There's there's such a thing as roles, and yeah, it's not fair to do that to your children. But anyways, I'm thankful to God for everything, because everything that happens, the point is to bring you closer to God. So that's what's important, and to love God and to worship God and to love your neighbor as yourself. So that's what's important, and to thank God, even though it's really hard. You know what I mean? Okay. My mom used to force me to read the Bible and to go to late night mass, while I had almost no understanding of what any of it meant. And this was when I was like 7 to 10. And the thing is that I told her more recently, like a few weeks ago, I said, you misrepresented the Bible, because she used to beat the Bible and pull up Bible verses uh, to me and my siblings to justify her bad behavior. And that's really sick. Like, she had no food for us some nights, and she would say that we should be humble. And she would talk about fasting. It's like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's improper. She would just do it ad hoc, like, as needed, basically, to justify her crazy positions and her instability and her erraticness, Uh, and that's not good. Like, that's misrepresenting the Bible. Like, the Bible actually has everything, and the main message is about love, uh, loving God first and foremost, with all your mind, body, soul, and strength. And then it also talks about, like, justice. It talks about judgment, and there's a lot more in there too. So you really have to do the Bible justice if you're going to be using it um, to tell people what they ought to think and feel and everything. It's like, the message is really powerful, so don't, like, twist it for your own means, right? Like, yeah, that's real humility, is to try to do God's will and not your own will using God's word. That's actually not good. Okay, so now that I'm older, I've explored a lot of different uh, religious and scientific and all types of worldviews and all types of models and everything. And of course, I come back to God, because God is um, the Most High. Everything good comes from God. So, uh, yeah. So, like, I believe that, your life is a story, and you're either going in a spiral toward God, back toward God, or you're going away from God, back into yourself, essentially. Um, and away from God. So it's very important um, to learn about spiritual matters, and to seek and to pray and to have faith. It's okay to have questions. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to not agree with things at first, but you need to be open to changing your mind, changing your position when it comes to things that are very deep until you find, uh, what is true. And Jesus says to us, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Okay, so when I was 8 or 9, I had my 2 older sisters both ran away to my aunt and uncle's house. And then there was this constant screaming on the phone by my mom and her fury. And so yeah, this is just more instability within the house, They were having a horrible time too. So was I. Everybody was having a horrible time. And it's just really traumatic. It's really sick, really. But that's what we went through. So they ran away, and it was just a ginormous mess. They eventually came back, but I can't remember. He came back after a month or two or something, but just like a huge mess. Okay, so when I was 8 or 9, um, there was a neighborhood fight, and I don't know if it was gang or drug related, but I was watching from uh, the window with my sister, and I saw my brother's friend was out there. My brother's friend was like older, and he got hit in the head with a brick. So it was kind of like a minor traumatic thing, but it's just kind of like these ghetto neighborhoods and really low socioeconomic status, living in the hood. This kind of stuff happens, and it's just like kind of scary, and everyone's kind of traumatized in the hood. And yeah, so anyways, age 10 to 12, my mom would stay out until late, like after 11 or midnight. And this was late for me at that time, and at that age, and I would wait up I remember feeling terrified, just like dread and fear and like coldness, thinking that she was not going to come back or she had died. So this was just like catastrophizing. That's what that's called, when you get a feeling and then you just feel like you get a bad feeling and you just feel like the worst is going to happen. And that's what your mind is telling you, like the worst thing. This is what anxiety is like. Bad anxiety is like, it's like the worst thing is going to happen. And also, if you have no control over it, all you can do is just wait and just feel terrible. And it's just like, so that's what I felt um, when I was around age 10 to 12. And she was out working or something. She used to work. I don't actually know if she was working. I don't remember exactly, but she used to work under the table for cleaning places like the corner stores and stuff. So yeah. And I mean, I guess she was doing it for us, but I just feel like, oh man, it's so confusing. Like, I don't like giving justifications for her actions because, that's like directly undermining how I felt. You know what I mean? Like, I felt effing horrible. And there was just like, I can see that about like maybe like a couple things, but it was like a bajillion things. It was like so many different things. And I'm only listing like the worst ones here, but it was like day after day, year after year while I was growing up. It's like, what am I supposed to do? Justify how fucked up that is? It's my own life. Like, um, yeah, the only justification I can actually give is that it's to bring me closer to God. So it's to increase my faith in God. So yeah. Um, and actually, this kind of makes me think of a more main point, and it gave me a little bit of an insight right now that my mom is like the central horrible figure in my life, like, but at the same time I still have like it's almost even hard to say that I have some sort of affection for her because she's been so awful. She's been like a small child in an adult's body with control over other small children, and uh, it's like really confusing and really horrible. But yeah, so I don't even really know what to think about that. I just know that that's been a central theme, and something that I've always wanted was resolution around that. That um, and I've gotten a little bit of resolution. I've gotten better through boundaries and stuff, but it's like this ongoing thing, you know? It's like ongoing. And that's so painful. And actually sometimes I get like a murderous rage. And I know that sounds awful and I would never actually kill anyone, but sometimes that's how I feel. I just feel like so angry and so like it's like years of frustration, years of anger, years of suppression, and it feels like a murderous rage. And I'm just like, I am so sick of this. I'm so done with this. That's how it feels. You know what I mean? It's like, why do I have to deal with this all the time? I've been putting all my energy into trying to help my family, and they just treat me like a retard. They treat me like um, I'm attacking them. They treat me like uh, I'm mean. They treat me like um, something's wrong with me just for bringing any of this up. So that it's like, what the f, what the fuck, like that just makes me angry. So, but like I said, I would never murder anyone. That's not really my intention to hurt people. Um, I'm more want like justice, fairness, resolution, peace, love. I want people to return to God, including my family. I pray for them every day. So yeah, but it's really tough. I gotta tell you, it's really tough. And I have nobody to talk to really. I talk to my therapist. I do have a therapist, and she's kind of listening, so that helps a little bit. And I've gone through so many therapists. But anyways, I'll continue. Um, when I was 13 or 14, I had this older half brother who at the time had really poorly treated schizophrenia, and he had like a really bad case of schizophrenia, like, and also his own probably trauma and everything, um, from him, his life, uh, growing up with my dad and whoever his mom was, or was there or wasn't there, I don't know, but he used to just like scream, and he used to like laugh and giggle, and his like face would just change from like um, glee to like talking to someone who wasn't there, or like he's talking about demons a lot, and he was talking about like, and like, so that was not really good, but like everybody just kind of ignored it. And um, he lived with our family for a while, a few months, and then I had two uncles that lived with us at random times as well. And so this is just more instability type of stuff. um, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing for family to come stay with family, but it was more like the circumstances were not like a friendly visit, or something that anyone could understand really. It was kind of just random. It was kind of just like everyone trying to like hold on to anything they could, and not talk about that everyone was in like a survival state. So it's just, yeah, not good. What I mean is like hold on to any stability that they could. I think, I don't know. It was just like people trying to survive, I think, is the best way to put it. And then when I was age 14 or 15, my older sister, she used to trap me into corners throughout the house, and in my room. and she would hit me, she would spit at me, she would swear at me, and usually she would do it when no one was home. So it was like a switch flipped. And she would act differently, and then when no one was home, she would like go try and find me and hurt me. Like her face would be like, wanting to exact pain onto me. And it was fucking horrible because it's like, why did nobody really help me? Why did no one care? And this is not just one time thing. This would happen kind of often. And I guess at the crescendo, like she was really mean, and um, we were always having these fights. And then one day I punched her in the face because I'd had enough and I'd finally gotten old enough. This has been ongoing for years. I think I was 14. I punched her in the face when she was trying to hit me or something, and I punched her hard because she started bleeding from her cheek, and she completely flipped out. And then she tried to exact as much vengeance on me as she could through the means that women will use, or weak people will use, people that are not as strong as you. If they can't hurt you in one way, they'll hurt you in another. So she tried to hurt me socially at school. She went and told everybody that I was like, beating her up, that I was horrible, that I was so mean. I don't know what she said, but she went and told everybody at school. And so then everybody would like look at me, but no one would talk to me. And it was just like cold whispers, like a whisper campaign and whatever. So it's just sick, It was like, that's my older sister. You know what I mean? Sometimes, I mean, I feel like sometimes she was trying to be nice at times, but it was so bipolar, and lo and behold, I guess she got a diagnosis of bipolar later. But where's the apology? Where's the acknowledgement? Where's the acknowledgement first off? Where's the apology second? Where's the reconciliation, or whatever you want to call it? But it doesn't even start with acknowledgement. So I don't talk to her now. But yeah, I used to get bullied about having a sister all the time. That's another thing. I got bullied all through school. And I know this just sounds like whoa me, but I gotta I gotta talk about this at some point. I can't just not say anything, because that's worse actually. Um, so when I was 14 or 16, somewhere in there, I kind of can't remember any of the dates, but I remember I came home from something and I was locked out, and it was below freezing, and there was no way to get into the house, and I was out there for like 1, 2, or 3 hours. I don't even know what the time was, but I think it was over an hour. It was probably 2 hours. Could have been longer. And I just remember waiting. I just like curled up, or I just crouched down, squatted down, and I just waited. And it was just so depressing. I just remember feeling so like, cold, and I was not dressed properly. And I just waited, and then finally someone came home. I think I might have came home after school. I don't even know. But then finally someone came home, and then I do remember, I think my mom maybe tried to make me a cup of tea or something, and I went and laid down in the blanket, and it's just like, at this point it was just like, you guys, like, what is this shit, So, yeah, I don't know, anyways, it was just another instance of neglect, I guess you could say. But at least my mom, I think she kind of tried to do something at that point. So, and this is part of why it's so confusing if you have a parent who is um, uh, gives you CPTSD, because it's like sometimes you'll get something and a lot of times you won't. So it's the instability. Like sometimes you'll get some sort of care and whatever, and usually it's whenever there's like, it's for a performative reason for your parent, because they realize like, under this scenario I should act like this because people are looking or because it'll come back to bite me. And it's not like genuine love, care, and whatever. So it's kind of like an on off, you know, and this is kind of like narcissism, right? That's what narcissism is. Narcissism performs. Um, Narcissism performs for the reason of trying to uh, uh, fill some void or fill some insecurity. So when I was 14 to 17, sometime in there, I used to ask my mom to read to me, and she never would. I just remember she would always deny it. She would always say no. And I asked for a long time, and I would even beg her to read to me. Please, can you read to me? And she would not do it. She would not. And it's like, you know, it feels kind of bad because some parents, you know, they spend time with their children, they read to their children, they care about their children. And I was like asking my mom, can you please do something here? Like, can you please care about me? And she would refuse every time. So it feels really terrible. Oh, yeah, that one actually kind of hurts to think about. More for the reason of just wanting someone to help, someone to care, someone to love you, and not getting it, and it's supposed to be the person who is supposed to love you, right? That's why it hurts. Because I can understand why other people don't care. I can understand that. But I can't really understand why my own mom wouldn't do that. And to me that's just like makes me angry. Because it hurts. It really hurts, you know? It really hurts. And it makes me want to cry, but I have no one to cry to, so yeah. It's even hard to even just like open up and cry about these things to anyone, even when I read to my therapist, you know, because sometimes when I read it to when I've read it to my therapist, and if I feel like I'm gonna start crying, it's hard to actually cry because my therapist will start talking at that time. And this is something that women do that drives me fucking crazy. It's so annoying. Is that women actually try to grab men's feelings and manipulate them instantly. It's like just let a man cry. Just like be like let it out or pass a tissue box or just say take your time. Cuz that's what needs to happen when people feel like they're going to cry or whatever. People don't want to feel vulnerable. People don't want to feel, you know, I don't want to feel that way. Like I don't want to feel like that because for this explicit reason that people fucking start talking and they start trying to fucking intellectualize and whatever. It's like it's an emotional thing. When people go into their emotions, they're not in the thinking part of their brain. It's different parts of the brain. They're not in the prefrontal cortex planning. Okay, now I'm going to let this tear come out. Now I'm going to let that tear come out. Okay, good. I think if I get like 3 more tears to come out, then I'll have, you know, 14 units of emotional healing done, and then I can go say, you know, I have a positive attitude because I let out 3 tears, and it's like, no, just let people cry. It's a wave, for fuck's sakes. Pisses me off that even the healing process is so hard because the healers are so fucking inept. Not to be super harsh, you know, therapists, whatever, but it's tough, you know, it's tough. It's tough, you know what I'm saying? Okay. When I was age 14 or 15, my older sister again, she used to tell me